Finally, it has not happened. 30 years of existence, the Florida Panthers have finally won a game. Finally won a Stanley Cup game ever. The first time in a Stanley Cup in 1996, we never even won. We got swept by Colorado. We had the fears that we were comparing this to the 1996 Stanley Cup run, and we were just thinking of the worst. But no, thankfully it did not happen, and it's thanks to a couple of people, Daddy Monty, Kachuk, who has been a warrior for the Florida Panthers, and Swaggy. Ooh, it has not happened in 30 years, 27 years in between. Finally won a Stanley Cup game. This feels like winning a championship, but obviously we did not win a championship game because we have to win 3 more games to do so. But this is a good feeling to have. Let's just sink this in. Let's take it all in for once. Oh man! Finally. Sergei Bobrovsky coming off with an awful game a few days ago against Vegas in Las Vegas. Had to be pulled out and have Alex Lyon pull in. He starts off this game despite having a really rough game in Vegas. He has been improved. He has improved tremendously. 25 out of 27 saves. And those 2 goals given up were both power play goals, and we'll talk about that. So in the first period, Brandon Montour scores for Florida, and that didn't take long. The story with Brandon Montour goes like this. Game 1, he had to leave. The game 1 ended. We lost. Goes right to the airport, flies back to Florida. Gives birth to his baby. He takes a picture with his baby. So congratulations to Brandon Montour for becoming a dad. That's really something that must have been a truly amazing feeling to have. Then flies immediately back out to Vegas to play game 2, and you know the rest. Then game 3 coming in, he scores the goal for Florida, and he gets hurt. But thankfully he wasn't hurt enough to not play for the rest of the night. So yeah, one of the biggest problems with Florida tonight is that this team just feels undisciplined, because we have given up at least 6 penalties in this game, and 4 of 5 of them were in the second period, and I'll tell you in a minute. But in this instance, Mark Stone made us pay big time, and ties the game up with the power play. It was a 4-on-3 power play because of the fact that there was a penalty already given up by Vegas, but Gudas was not aware of it, and he commits a penalty of his own to make it a 4-on-4. So that's bad. And I think it was Duclair who'd given up another penalty, so the power play was 4-on-3, and Mark Stone scores that power play. So then the second period, look, second period, I will say in the stats sheet, we have, in this playoffs alone, not playoffs, but in the Stanley Cup alone, 142 penalty minutes given up in this series alone. Most of those minutes came from game 2. You remember those misconduct penalties? This just adds up. But bad penalties after bad penalties after bad penalties. We're lucky that we only given up 1 goal. And with this going, I swear to God, just take a guess who scored that power play goal against us. You guessed it, Jonathan Marchessault, former Panther. 3 goals in a row scored in each game. He scored all 3 in each game. And may I mind you this, all of them were power play. All of them. Meaning he has made history tonight. I think he was the third player of all time to score first 3 games with the power play in the Stanley Cup Series. And Vegas became the second team all time to have a same player and to each score a power play goal in the first 3 games. You know who was the first team to do that history? 1980 New York Islanders, and they have won that Stanley Cup that year. Think about that as we're watching this game. Then we go to the third period, and we got to talk about this real quick. So in the first period, Tkachuk was crushed. He got crushed. I forgot who was the crusher in this, but Tkachuk got crushed, and it was an upper body injury, so he could not return for the rest of that first period. So he comes back in for the second period, a little bit wobbly, but he was still managed to play. Then in the third period, the same guy who got crushed, the same guy who scored a game-tying goal, Matthew Tkachuk, Chucky. So forget Messi. Matthew Tkachuk, a heart and soul of South Florida sports for the Florida Panthers, is him. Matthew Tkachuk did it tonight, ties the game up. So that is great. That is great to have that kind of story. Then something happened so remember this. So this is what's so frustrating about penalties and undisciplined. When we have penalties, we could not score it. We could not score a penny. Period. At this point we definitely need to think of this new strategy to score a power play goal because we suck on a power play. And to make matters worse, it seems as though as when Vegas gets a power play, all the momentum shift to Vegas. And here's where it gets even more frustrating. I would complain about this if the result didn't go the way that we have tonight. Imagine if we didn't win this game. I'm going to talk about this anyway. So, Barkov, Forsling, and I believe it was Stevenson in that scenario with 11 seconds left of the third period, at least. So, it seems as though as the toe of Forsling's skate, foot, blade, just on the front side of the foot, right? It seems as though it got caught up on the front side of Stevens' foot. He falls down from that little soft touch. Forsling got called for a penalty. He got called for a trip. That is one of the worst calls I've seen in quite some time. In fact, it's so bad, you can honestly say it's a phantom call. And now expert analysis even said so. Commentators even agree that should not be a penalty. That penalty was garbage. We would have more of that conversation if we didn't kill off that phantom penalty. So that phantom penalty, we killed off the phantom penalty. So really, I don't know if I'm just saying, imagine we didn't win this game. Then we would have been talking about this more. But after that penalty kill, Bobrovsky makes those clutch saves, as he's done so all game long, especially the third period. We would have been down 3-1 if it wasn't for that save and off the post shot. And thankfully it didn't happen. Finally, we get a lane from Bennett and Forsling. It's Swaggy. Carter Verhage finds an open lane to shoot the puck, and he makes it in. Crowd erupted like a volcano. Erupted. Loudest I've heard of Panthers Arena ever. Period. Ever. South Florida sports is crazy already. But to finally win a Stanley Cup game. I don't care if we lose the Stanley Cup at this point. But the fact that it still remains, we still find a way to even win a Stanley Cup game, and we will not get swept by the Vegas Golden Knights. And now, let's enjoy this win. Honestly, we're down 2-1. When we could have been down 3-0. Then that's the difference. Season extended. Verhaeghe is the hero in this, as well as Kachuk is also a hero, but Verhaeghe is a bigger hero from the overtime goal, as he definitely deserves a star of the game, as well as Sergei Bobrovsky with 2 stars, and yeah, the 3 stars go to Aiden Hill. So Aiden Hill saved 20 out of 23 shots, and we would have had a completely different conversation, but this is the positive conversation that we finally have, to say the least. So, yes, we have made history tonight, and yes, we will not get swept by the Vegas Golden Knights. And yes, we still have a chance. Our season is still alive. So we'll see what happens on Saturday night. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video, folks. Go Panthers! If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, because Miami TV has it back. And when he does, he'll be right there with the entertainment you deserve. Miami TV signing off, folks. Good night, everybody.